All right. Well, good morning. We'll go ahead and begin. And today we'll take a look at importing, exporting, web scraping. Okay. All right. So let's talk about importing, exporting data. Generally, you will not be typing your data into R. Okay, unless you have less than 10 data points. Okay, where you might just type in a couple numbers and say, hey, I just need the mean of these 7 numbers. Sure, you can type that in, but you know most of the time your data is going to exist in some file. You're going to import that in. All right. These are like some basic commands to get stuff in there. There's read.csv, which you might already be familiar with and stuff. I would say these are better packages that you should use. Okay. There is library readr. That's part of the tidyverse, and I'm a big fan of the tidyverse. There's a couple more packages from the tidyverse. Read Excel for Excel packages. Haven if you have data from other stats programs like SAS or SPSS. SAS is still in use in like government and health applications and stuff. So sometimes you need to bring data over. Library Haven shows you how, and you can read the documentation on stuff like that. Okay, there's another package not part of the tidyverse called data.table, and this imports big tables pretty quickly. And that would be recommended if you have a fairly large, not a gigantic data set, but a fairly large data set. Okay, so if you use readr, the package or the function you'll probably use the most will be read_CSV, just because CSV files seems to be kind of the de facto way that we send data around online. But there's other formats. Fixed width files. Fixed width files are text files that when you open them up, they already look like a table because somebody hit a whole bunch of spaces, right? So you can imagine if I gave you an old-fashioned typewriter and I said, hey, make a table of the states and their capitals. It would be tedious because you'd have to use the space, but you'd type in like Alabama, space, and then what, Montgomery, okay? And then what's the next one? Alaska. You type in Alaska, space, until it lines up, and then you type in Juneau or something, right? And if you imagine doing that, okay, but then you just do it in a text file, that's called a fixed width file, okay? But anyway, read_CSV. That's good, okay? And actually, in RStudio, when you click over here, you can use import, and you can do from text, and readr will do that. Okay, so I would say use import from text readr. Oh, and look, there's already other things from Excel that will load up package read Excel, and then if you click any of these things, it will load up Haven. Okay, those are all part of the tidyverse. All right, there's another package called data.table. Data.table has a function called fread. Okay, works very similar to read_CSV, but it's designed around giving you the fastest performance. And I would say if you have a big data file, like over 1 gigabyte, use fread. Okay, over 1 gigabyte, but smaller than the amount of memory you have on your computer. Okay, so if you like your computer, your laptop maybe has what, 16 gigabytes of RAM, maybe 32 gigabytes of RAM, depending on, I don't know, maybe only 8, right? Depending on how much money you spent. And so there are data files out there that are like bigger than that, okay? So you won't be able to load those onto your computer. Those require a different infrastructure, a big data infrastructure, and we're not going to cover that, okay? But that would require basically, usually you'll need to fire up some kind of remote server that does have that kind of capacity where you can interact with something that has, the capacity to handle these giant data files. Okay, but fread is kind of like if you've got a big data file, but not more than it's going to blow up your computer. You can do that data.table. All right, we can skip this slide. This is a slide text that I just copied over from the readart page, which basically says yes, fread goes faster, and read_CSV still gives good performance, but it's a little bit slower because it has a more sophisticated parser, things like that. Okay. Excel, if people still use Excel, you can load up library read Excel, and this is what it looks like. You just load in basically the name of your Excel file. And Excel files support multiple worksheets. They're technically called notebooks, and notebooks can have different worksheets, basically the little tabs across the bottom for different sheets, and so you can specify which sheet you want, whether you want sheet number 2 or a sheet that's named empty cars or something like that. Sometimes you want to download a file or reference a data file that exists on the internet, okay? And the recommended method is to reference the data file directly in your script, okay? Because especially if you're going to share your script with someone else, you don't want to be in a situation where you say, hey, I want you to run this script on your computer, but before you run the script on your computer, I need you to go to this data web page, and you go to this web page, and then on the menu, click download data, and then once you click download data, it'll take you to another page, and then click the link that says customer data, and then click the link that says organized by state or something, right? Because if you have to do that, like somebody might make a mistake along the way, they might get confused, something goes wrong, they might download it wrong. And so it's much better if you could just identify the web address of the data file itself directly. You put the web address of the data file into your script, and then you just load it up. Now, read_CSV, you could just put in a URL directly. You don't have to download the file, okay? You could just do read_CSV and then the name of the URL, and it will download it, okay? But sometimes you do actually want to have a copy, local copy, because maybe, I don't know, you're going to be manipulating some stuff. So you can also call download.file, okay? So you give it the web address, download.file. Where is it going to be saved? Destination file, iris.csv, or wherever you want it to go, okay? And then you could, once you have it downloaded, you can load it up, right? This destination file goes into whatever working directory you have, so you might need to set that. But basically, this is a much better way if you're going to give a script to someone else that uses information downloaded from the internet. Just put the URL directly in the script rather than saying follow these directions to download the data. Or it's even better than just saying like, hey, before you get started, here's the URL. I want you to download this first. Okay, that's better than saying like follow these links and stuff. But just put it in the script. Okay. A lot of times you want to save the files and the stuff you're working on, right? Like you've done some calculations. It took a long time to get there. You don't want to lose it. Okay, and then my recommended workflow is you don't have you don't have your workspace saved when you exit. Okay, and again, that gives you the flexibility to be able to start working on another computer, or load up a, if something goes wrong, you can always kind of go to a cloud server. You guys, did I ever mention Posit Cloud? No? Okay, so you should create an account with posit.cloud. Why is this? Okay, so under it's keep trying to make me log in. Okay, wait, let me see. Okay, posit.cloud. Okay, so under Posit Cloud, this allows you to basically run RStudio in your browser, okay, for free. When you sign up, there's different tiers, okay? Some charge a lot of money. Okay, I guess you can get a student one, but you don't even the free one is fine. Okay, but basically you can like if you're working on an iPad, you can't run RStudio on your iPad, but you can run Posit Cloud on your iPad. Okay, you just need a web browser. All right, to run Posit Cloud, you just need a web browser. It'll run basically anywhere you've got the internet and a web browser. Okay, and it's great. No need to install anything. You just have to create an account. Okay, and so I recommend that. But again, getting the if you're accustomed to having all of your files locally on your local machine, you know, you can run into issues. So, but if you do want to save stuff, you can save it. Okay, save. You put in the R objects. Like if you want to save a list, you want to save a data frame, you can do that, and then you can save it to something.rdata, and it will store in the RData format. And then when you load that in, it will go. Okay. You can always also in your environment, you can also click save, and it will save whatever's in your environment. Okay. If you want to save an atomic vector, you can just do write, and this will save the contents of an atomic vector to a file. So that can be handy. If you have a data frame, you can save the data frame to a CSV file. And there's write.csv. There's also write_CSV. And this will save data frames to CSV files. So this would be probably most common ways for you to save your stuff. All right, let me give you your first view quiz answer. First view quiz answer today is the letter D. D as in dog. D as in dog is our first view quiz answer. Okay, there's another package. I didn't know where to put it, so I just put it here. It's called Lubridate. It's a play on words. It's like lubricate, which makes kind of things smoother. Okay, Lubridate allows you to handle date information nice and easy. And you don't worry about these slides. These slides are just here to show you that life is hard if you don't use Lubridate, okay? So R does have ways to handle date information natively, okay? But it looks like this, all right? So if you have a date written like this, January 15th, 1999, R can understand it, but you have to say the format is, it's gonna be the full length month, which is %B, date as a number, %d, there's a comma, a space, and the full 4-digit year, %y, okay? And then R says, yes, I understand, that's 1999-01-15, that's a date, okay? But if you have anything wrong, just like, oh, I'm missing the comma, or you don't use a capital B or something, R says, oh, I have no idea what you're talking about, okay? If the date comes in a different format, like this, you have to have it exactly right, with the lowercase and the capital M's and stuff like that. Otherwise, R is going to say, I don't understand, okay? And then, you know, sometimes, imagine having a form where you have people type in their things, right? You say, hey, type in your phone number, type in your birthday, your date of birth. You're going to get all kinds of different formats, right? Some people use dashes, some people use spaces, things like that. And so if you imagine data coming in and it's formatted differently, the regular date functions in R, it can't handle this. It doesn't know what to do. You can just basically do one format at a time. It's very annoying. It's very tedious. And actually working with dates in Python is a little bit like this. It's very kind of tedious and annoying. I don't think there's a date handling package like Lubridate for Python just yet. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Maybe someone has created something. Okay. But anyway, this is just so you load up library Lubridate. You've got the vector, the column with all kinds of funny formatted things, and all you do is say, hey, all of these are in month, day, year, and Lubridate goes, I gotcha. Okay, January 15th, 1999, I understand. 12/15/2001, I understand. 3/18/2002, I understand. Okay, and it gets all of the dates correct. Okay. The only thing, it just requires that they're in month, day, year. Okay. You might have something like this, and you have to tell Lubridate. This is in year, month, day, or month, day, year, day, month, year, or something like that. Okay, because as an American, I might say, oh, that's March 4th, 2005. Okay, but if you're European, you might say that's April 3rd, 2005. Okay, or I don't know who would say this is 2003, 0405, but I guess that's a possibility or something like that. Okay, if you give it something like that it can't understand, like if you say 25/12/99, okay, but then you say that's month, day, year, not day, month, year, right? This would have been Christmas 1999 or something. R is going to say, well, are you sure that's month, day, year? Because I can't figure that out, okay? So that's fine. That's Arvest. All right, let me talk about, I'm sorry, that was Lubridate. Let me talk about Arvest, all right? And this is how we do web scraping, okay? Another play on words. Arvest is supposed to sound like harvest, as if you're gathering your data, crops, or something from the web. Okay. Do read these links on just covering how to use Arvest and Selector Gadget and things like that. Okay. All right. A couple notes. The internet. I can say all sorts of things about the internet, but as far as web technologies go, it is constantly evolving. And so web scraping is like a moving target. So some of my lectures, I can use the exact same thing from last year. And like the stuff about environments hasn't like really changed, okay? But web scraping, it like changes every year. I got to update this slide deck every year, okay? Because web technologies advance. And so Arvest, I think, is still a great web scraping tool, but it's limited to basically older web technologies, okay? Where you have static pages, okay? Static pages, so think of things where basically if you have the link now and you save that link and then you come back to the link tomorrow, more or less you'd expect the content to be the same, okay? That's a static page. So you think about like Wikipedia pages, you think about recipe websites and blogs and things where, more or less the information stays fairly static, okay? A lot of the internet, though, especially that's being consumed, are these dynamically generated things. So anytime you have a infinite scroll, right, like a feed, okay, even that term feed is like it's kind of weird, right? You just imagine, you guys saw WALL-E, where they're just like sitting in the chairs and then the stuff is just like being fed into their mouths and stuff. It's kind of like that, except it's just bad content for your brain, right? So you go on Facebook and you just keep scrolling and you can never reach the bottom of the page, because what's happening is, or like you might reach the bottom of the page, but then like you wait 2 seconds and then more stuff loads, right? And what's happening is as you scroll down, your browser is constantly talking back and forth with the server, and it says, oh, give me more stuff. The guy keeps eating, right? We need more stuff to feed the person, okay? And it keeps loading up. That is not a dynamic. That is not a static page. That's a dynamic thing, right? And the idea of saving your feed is like weird, right? Because there's no way you can say like, I want to save what my feed looks like so I can look at it again tomorrow, right? Like tomorrow it's going to be an entirely new thing. And sometimes you're like, oh, I wanted to see that, but you accidentally clicked a link and then you go back and then like the thing is gone and you're like, oh, where did it go? And you're like scrolling forever and you can't find it. Those types of things aren't going to work for Arvest, right? And a lot of our internet looks like that today, for better or worse. Definitely for worse. Okay. Arvest isn't also going to work for any site where you need to be logged in to view content. So that's like probably most of the sites you visit, you have to be logged in to view the content. So Arvest isn't going to work for that. But you think of stuff like Wikipedia, where it's like, oh, I don't have to be logged in. This page is going to be, I mean, it might get updated, right? But more or less it's static. If I save the URL now and I come back tomorrow, I can expect it to look more or less the same. Even like a shopping website, you have the product URL. You're like, oh, this is the thing I want, and you save that link, and then you send it over to your grandma and say, hey, this is what I want for my birthday. They can click that link, and you can expect that they're going to see the same product that you were just looking at. Stuff. Okay. All right. So this is it also is helpful to know a little bit about how a web page is structured. Okay, so I don't know if any of you have written your own web page using HTML from scratch. Okay, some of you might have done it, some of you may not have. Okay, it's so I'm gonna go to old Reddit. Old Reddit is the current Reddit is infinite scroll, right? Like I scroll down and it'll say like, oh, we've got stuff, and then you reach the bottom, and then it just keeps loading more stuff, right? And so it just goes on forever. Okay, old Reddit was more of the static form. Sure, it got updated every couple hours or couple minutes, but at the bottom you have to click next to go to the next page, right?
So you would still consider this static?
This what I would consider a mostly static page. Okay, and you have to click next, and so they did away with the next button because they realized, oh, when people click next, they realize like, oh, I'm on page 38, and so maybe I should stop browsing. Okay, but then when you have infinite scroll, okay, you can easily scroll past page 38, scroll to page 70, scroll to page whatever, and you don't even realize how far you've gone. Okay, and then sometimes at the end you're like, oh, let me scroll back to the top, and you're like, oh my goodness, like I've been scrolling for a long time, right? So they got that's the choice of getting rid of the next button here. Okay. Anyway, so this is old Reddit. Oh, here I'm actually. I wanna log out here. Okay. Okay. So this is old Reddit when I'm logged out, and so this is we want to do this, and you can right click and click View Page Source. Oh, that's really hard to read. Here. Maybe this one's easier. Okay, so here's any web page you go to, you can right click and do Inspect or View Page Source, and when you click View Page Source, you see all of this text. This is HTML and CSS. This is when you browse the internet, basically your computer is talking to another computer on the internet, and like my computer is talking to like a server owned by Amazon that hosts this content, or maybe it's talking to a computer hosted by UCLA and things. And basically my computer says, oh, I want to see the web page, and then that computer says, okay, here's the web page, and what it sends back looks like this. It looks like this plain text. Okay, and then your computer's browser says, oh, I understand how to read this. When I read this, I need to format the page to look like this. Okay, and so all of this stuff, you see all of these like greater than, less than signs, these are called tags, and they give the page structure. And there's HTML tags and CSS tags. HTML tags tell like what is the content. It'll say like, here's a heading, okay? Here's a top level heading. Here's a level 2 heading, okay? Here is a paragraph of text. Here is a link. They call that an anchor, all right? Here is a bulleted list, and these are the list items, and you give it the structure, right? And then in order to get things formatted a certain way, they say, oh, you know what? Anytime you have this kind of list item, make sure you use this font and put this little icon here. Okay, you got this icon, this item, put a little paperclip icon. Okay, you got this kind of item, put a little link icon. All right, over here, this is also list items, but they say, hey, put little, make it blue, all right, and stuff like that. So it structures the web page. Everything is looks like this, and you just have these different things. Okay, and so on the Reddit page, you know, you'll have stuff where it's like, okay, here's comments and share and stuff like that. And so the internal structure, okay, I've stripped out a lot of like the excess content. Like this has like way more stuff to handle things, but just this would be like a very simple type of structure where you have like a list item, okay, LI, and that first list item is comments, okay. Another list item is the share button and the save button and the hide button, okay. And then the CSS is the class here, and it says, okay, I want basically every time it has comments, I want it formatted the same way. And every time there's a share button, I want it formatted the same way. And so, you know, anytime we have, let me see if I can find this, week 1 Monday PDF. Okay, so here I've got, you know, week 1 Monday PDF. Oh man, this is a really long. Okay. Ooh. All right, I don't know why it's formatted all. Oh, okay. So the script. All right. Well, anyway, something. Okay. But basically, it's like there's going to be a CSS class that says, okay, this is a file, and that's why you see the paperclip. And this is a link, and that's why you see the link icon and stuff, right? So it has a kind of some way to format these things consistently, and those all show up in the class. And so we use these classes to say, I want you to identify anything that is class link, okay? External URL, all right? And identify all of those. And so we use the selector gadget, and it looks at all of these different tags, and it says, oh, okay, these are the tags that share a common class, okay? And we can select them all that way, right? So for example, and so to use selector gadget, okay, there is, you go to the website, selector, type in selector gadget, okay, go to selectorgadget.com, okay, I mean, I guess you can download, I don't know what the web store one is, okay, but selectorgadget.com, it's this little link, okay, it says drag this link to your bookmarks bar, all right, updated in August 2013. So it's 13 years old, but it still works just fine, okay? You click and you drag it to your bookmarks bar. So you might have to, what do you call it? You might have to do like, there's like hide bookmarks. Under bookmarks, you can do like show bookmarks bar, and then you click and you drag it, right? So now I've got selector gadget in my bookmarks bar. And if I click it, a little thing will pop up in the lower right-hand corner, right? And now when I hover over the web page, all kinds of, like, I see this orange box and it feels very weird. But if I want to highlight, let's say I want to extract out the number of comments, okay? I can highlight this thing, okay? And I click it and it turns green, which means we're going to select it. And then it also highlights a whole bunch of other stuff in yellow. And this says we're going to select everything in yellow. And I say, oh, I don't actually want all of that other stuff. I just want the number of comments. So I'm going to click the headline and say I don't want that. Okay, and so now it says 948 comments, 2,935 comments, 1988 comments. And it says the tag that we use to select these things is the comments tag, which makes sense, okay? I can click clear. I could say I want something else. So like maybe I just want the headlines, okay? And if I just want the headlines, I would select, I guess, outbound or something, or something else. You know, there's different things. If you want to select, like, maybe I want the different Reddit subreddits out there, okay? It highlights those, and I guess that's .choice and things like that. I don't know. Okay, so those are some of the you use selector gadget to figure out which tag we want. So here I ran this, and if I want the comments, I do I read in the page, and I say select the nodes that are .comments, and then it selects those things. Okay, And then with here, if I wanted to do math with these numbers, I can do string extract. Okay, with stringer, regular expressions, I'll teach you this later, but then I can extract out those numbers or something. Okay, all right, so hard for Arvest, easier for Arvest. Okay, so here I ran this last night, and so these were, this was the content that it was pulling up about Greenland and Trump and stuff like that. And I guess this was the tag that I used to run selector gadget. So you can also put in a tag and see what it selects. So .title.may blank, and so here it selects basically in yellow the lines of text that it would select. Okay, so that gives you a sense of how it's going to run. Okay, let me show you. Oh, okay. Before I do that, I've got to tell you, when you do web scraping, you want to use this package called Polite. Okay. So there's always kind of a bit of an arms race between web scrapers and people who run web servers, okay? Because a web scraper, when you do this, you're basically creating a little robot, a bot, that goes to the website and says, give me, I want to see it and I want to store this data. And you're basically, the web server has to kind of give this information, and they don't really want to give stuff to bots. They'd rather give it to humans, okay? And so so they have some rules, and they have ways to try to figure out who's a bot. And so basically, if someone makes like 1,000 requests all at once, they go, that's not a human. A human takes a couple seconds to read before they click another link. If somebody comes along and says, I'm going to click all of these links, they say, hey, you might be a bot, and stuff, right? You also have these captchas that you have to like click all of the pictures with a dog in it or something, and that's supposed to be hard for the bot and stuff. But anyway, you can do Polite. Polite says, oh, hello, I am a bot. Can I please see the web page? And then it says, well, we'd rather do, I want to see the web page. I will be lower priority. It's fine, okay? And I'm not going to hit you make 1,000 requests. And it does things like it rate limits itself, okay? And it identifies itself. And that's what Polite does. And generally, servers will play more friendly if your robot is polite. Rather than saying, like, give me everything. You do some things. You rate limit yourself. If you don't use Polite, okay, and you make 1,000 requests, the server might impose a rate limit on you that you have no control over now, okay? And basically, it will say, I recognize you. You're the guy who made 1,000 requests, and I see your IP address, okay? I'm going to ignore anything you have to say for the next hour or something like that, right? And if you repeatedly do this, then they might outright ban you, okay? They probably won't, but they certainly might rate limit you, okay? So it's better to rate limit yourself, right? I don't know. It's kind of, it's a little bit of self-control, right? Like when you're in, maybe you had this experience in elementary school where you like wanted to answer the teacher's question every single time, but then you realize like, okay, the teacher's rate limiting me. They're not going to call on me for every single answer. And then so to avoid that scenario, you kind of have to rate limit yourself. And you're like, okay, well, I will just raise my hand I don't know, but it's kind of like that, okay? All right, so anyway, this is just a description of Polite. The way it works is you create a session, okay? A session is basically, hello, I'm here, and I would like to look at your website, and please give me the stuff. All right, to do that, you first bow to the server, and then that opens up a session, and then you say, okay, I'm still here. I would like to see another web page, please. Okay, and then you nod, and then the server goes, okay, all right, fine. Here's another web page, And then when you see the new thing, you can gather the content by scraping it. Okay. So this is how it goes. Okay. And so there's a couple things, a couple options. Delay is basically how much time you want to wait before you make another request, right? I don't want to make a request every second. Just wait 5 seconds between requests, 10 seconds between requests. Should I retry if the server says, no, I don't want to serve you again? Maybe you come back and you try again, okay? There's force equals true. Sometimes a lot of servers will have a robots policy. They'll say like, no robots allowed, or like robots are only allowed to do this and that, okay? Force equals true. You probably shouldn't do this, but there's an option where you can say like, give me the stuff anyway, even though I'm a robot, okay? Other web scraping options, most of the other, there's Selenium. I would say a lot of other web scraping stuff exists in Python. Beautiful Soup is, again, for the static pages, works well, but again, very static. There's other things, ScrapeEye and Selenium, and these are better, but steeper learning curves. And well, you gotta learn Python too. All right, let's give you a demo on R. Oh, let me give you your second answer. Did I give you your second answer? Not yet. Okay, second answer is A. A as an apple. A as an apple. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We are going to scrape some information from IMDb. We're gonna go to the Barbie movie webpage, and let's say we want to scrape some information from the Barbie movie webpage. Okay, so I'm gonna load up my libraries. I got library Polite, library Rvest. Stringer is used for regular expressions, which I haven't covered, but we'll get there. Okay, and then I'm gonna open up a session. The session says this is the website, the webpage I want to visit. Okay, user agent is basically what kind of web browser are you? Okay. Here I'm going to say I'm basically a desktop web browser, okay? Mozilla 5, Windows, I'm coming on a Windows machine. There's Apple WebKit, or like Gecko, this is basically saying like this is how it's rendered. So it's either like, the equivalent of Chrome or Safari or something like that, okay? This is, just use this text. This is kind of your standard, I'm a modern computer coming around. There's other ones you can use that says like, oh, I'm on a phone, right? And web pages look different when you're on the phone than when you're on your computer, because the server might either render things differently for the phone or stuff like that. And so there's different things that says like, oh, my user agent, I'm on iOS, or if you want to, you can say like, I'm on like an old computer from that has like is unable to do stuff. But this, for now, this is fine. Okay, just use that. Okay, and then we're gonna force ourselves in. Okay, so we establish a session. Okay, and from that session, we're gonna tell, scrape the content from this web page. Okay, and we're gonna store that in something called, I'm gonna call that Barbie page. Okay, so it scrapes the content, and this is, I can see Barbie page, and you can see some of the HTML stuff. There's the heading, there's the body. There's an image tag that says there's image, and then there's more stuff. It's just kind of truncated a little bit. Okay. All right. Let's say we want to start extracting information here. Okay. So I'm going to use selector gadget, and I'm going to hover over here. Let's say I want to extract out the movie rating. Okay. So I clicked it, and now it's green, and it's going to select this. And this is the tag. This is a tag that I can't understand, but this is the tag because it's partially like computer generated this stuff. So it's not using tags that are like human readable, like this is the movie rating and stuff. But that's the tag. So I use selector gadget. I hover over it. This is the thing I want. It says LBQCRY. Okay. So I copy that. And that's going to be the node that I want. So I say from the Barbie page, okay, extract the HTML nodes with that tag LBCRY, okay? And so if I run that here, it extracts that, and this is a HTML tag. Okay, span. Okay, it's CSS, and it's this class that I don't understand. But basically, it used that lbqcry to select this tag, and then the piece of information that I want, the rating 6.8, is the text inside the tag. And so I'm going to say extract out the text, please. Okay, so I'm going to do Barbie page HTML text, and it pulls out the 6.8. For whatever reason, it's duplicated. Text always comes in as string information or character. So I'm going to say make it numeric. And then so now I have the value 6.8 as a numeric rating. Okay, and that's what we have. Okay, let's say I want to get more information from the Barbie page. Let's say I want to get information about the actors in the movie, right? So I scroll down, here's the cast, and let's say I want the actors' names. We got Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, Issa Rae, and so I'm gonna, using Selector Gadget, I hover over, and the piece of information I want is gonna be the name. So I'm gonna click Margot Robbie, and it also highlights in yellow all the other stuff it's gonna select, and that looks correct, okay? So all of these tags have the same, all of these bits of information have the same tag. Now, sometimes you click something and it highlights other stuff, but here the tag I want is JBMAMV. Okay, I'm going to copy that. Come back to R. I ran this earlier, and so I already have it in there. All right, and so from the Barbie page, I'm going to select the nodes that have JBMAMV, and it's going to select all of those tags. They're all anchor tags, A tags. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I just want the text from that thing. So I'm going to say from those nodes, just select the text. And if I do that, it has gotten all that information. So we have Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, Issa Rae, Kate McKinnon. It has basically all of the actors. I didn't realize, was John Cena? I guess John Cena was in the movie. Okay. So anyway, we have, all of these, the actors on the page listed here, okay? You can extract lots of stuff. So if I scroll further down, we have, excuse me, we have reviews, okay? So maybe I want to extract out the review, the text review. So I click that. And you can see when I clicked this, it also highlighted other stuff, right? In yellow, it shows you what I'm going to get. And I don't want this stuff on Avatar, Fire and Ash. So I'm gonna click this to say I don't want this, okay? It's in yellow. I'm going to click this. And so now it's in red, and we're not going to get that. And this looks more or less correct now. It'll say how many things are being selected. 5 things are being selected. That's fine. Okay, so I got KOJOEX IPC HTML content inner div. Okay, I don't know what that means, but whatever, that's fine. KOJOEX IPC HTML content inner div. And I'm going to say get the text from there. And we can do that. And it extracts out all of these texts. All right, so it says 8.5 out of 10. While I'm not so sure at first, the movie kept getting even more fun. The second review, I was honestly doubting this movie at first. It's like the same review, huh? Okay, and there we go, right? I was honestly doubting this movie at first. I got free tickets for a preview. It could have been so much better. You try making a movie. Okay. And it has this, right? Okay. Oh, this one I guess is a little bit different. The film's universe and settings are fantastic. All right. So that's that. Okay. Let's say we want to do more. All right. Let's say I want to go to Margot Robbie's page. Okay. So this is her IMDb page. And let's say I want to find like, okay, what are you starring in? Okay, so Margot Robbie is going to be in Wuthering Heights, and Untitled Margot Robbie Ocean's 11 film, and A Big Bold Beautiful Journey, and Chanel No. 5, and Barbie. Okay, so these are some of the other things she's starring in or working on. And let's see. So we want to select this. Okay, so I use selector gadget. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to hover over the title. And so this selects all of that. I kind of scroll around. Is anything else in yellow that's being selected? Doesn't look like it. So it looks like this is correct. And so we're going to select this. IPC metadata list summary item T. Okay, sure. So we're going to come over here. And so for this, I'm going to create a new session. We're going to go to, this is the address for Margot Robbie's page. Again, same user agent. We're going to go in there. We're going to say scrape the content from that session. And then now I want to get that, that tag, IPC metadata list summary item T. And now I can see the project she's worked on. Okay, we got Wuthering Heights, Untitled Margot Robbie, Ocean's 11 film, A Big Bold, Beautiful Journey, Chanel No. 5, Barbie, Asteroid City, etc., etc. Okay. All right, let's do something a little bit more interesting here. Okay, I want to create an automated browser. All right, this is like the real bot work. Okay. And what I want to do is that basically I want to do the same thing. I want to go to these the different actors' pages, and I want to get their projects that they're working on. Okay, so I'm going to go to Margot Robbie's page, get her projects. We're going to go to Ryan Gosling's page and download his projects. Okay, so we've got Project Hail Mary, Star Wars Starfighter, Tough Guys, The Fall Guy, and then we've got Issa Rae. We go to her page, and we will get One of Them Days, Good People, Bad Things, Fledgling, Seen and Heard, and we'll just kind of follow the links and go to each of these pages and try to download their content, okay, or the projects that they're working on. Okay, so to do this, what I want to do is I'm going to establish another session here, okay? And starting at the Barbie page, this is the Barbie movie page. And then we're going to scrape that content. And what I want to do is I want to extract out the web addresses, okay? And so we're using the same tag that selected all of the actor names. Okay, but basically when you click the actor name, it takes you to their webpage, right? And that's because in this this tag, okay, there's a URL that takes you to another page. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to extract out the URL. The URL is found in the HTML attribute href, hypertext reference, for basically a new location that we want to go to. Okay, so we're going to pull those out. Okay, and these are the actor URLs. Okay, these are all of the different, so this would be Margot Robbie's, and this would be Ryan Gosling. Now, for us to kind of make sense of it, let's associate these with the cast names. Okay, so we have this, all right, and I'm going to put these together by giving the vector names. And so now we have Margot Robbie and her URL, Ryan Gosling and his URL, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then, if I want to do this, I can do that, all right? Okay, so what we can do is from our session, we can nod to the server and say, hey, I want to go to another page, this URL, and I want to scrape its content, okay? So this is just kind of a test, and it nods to the server, it scrapes the content, and then we can say, hey, can I get the projects that she's worked on? Yes, that works, and things like that. Okay, so let me just do this quickly. I'm going to create a loop, okay? And in this loop, I'm going to start with my session, which is currently the Barbie page. We're going to nod and go to a new URL, the actor URL, and then we're going to scrape the content there. Once we've scraped that content into actor page content, okay, I'm going to extract the nodes, the text from that tag IPC metadata, and I'm just going to get the first 10 of them, okay? And then this is some text to extract out the year of the project. So these projects say like 2024 and stuff like that, okay? And then we're going to store that into our list. So this will take a few moments to run, okay? Because it's polite, right? So it's going to go to the server and it's going to say, I'd like to see this page. Okay, thank you. I'm going to wait. I'd like to see the next page. Thank you. I'm going to wait. All right, and so it takes a few minutes to run. So, you know, as you're trying this out, if you want to test out your loop, don't do the full entire list of pages you're going to do. Just test out like three pages, all right? And then if it works for those 3 pages, then you can expand. But you don't want to have to be sitting around for minutes on end. Okay, so it's done now, all right? It went to those 4 pages. And so now Cast Movies is this big list. But it looks like it got the stuff, okay? So we got Margot Robbie, 10 of her projects, those years. Ryan Gosling, 10 of his projects. Issa Rae, 10 of her projects. Kate McKinnon, 10 of her projects, and stuff like that. This is just a way to kind of take that information, reformat it into a data frame. And so now I have those 4 actors, and I've got 10 rows for each actor arranged in a nice data frame where we have their movies, the year, and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool as far as what you can do with Arvest to gather this information. Again, it works best for mostly static pages. And, you know, homework 3, which will be coming relatively soon, we'll have you do this web scraping stuff. Okay, let me give you your last view quiz answer. Last view quiz answer today is the letter B. B as in bear. Okay, that's it. Have a great rest of your day.